put in money from council members, Greenway and then Councilman Hollander, to remove invasive plants, open it up, and work with volunteers to actually construct this trail. So that's kind of what we do with the Natural Division of Parks, and I just wanted to honor the volunteers that have helped make that happen, as well as really our staff, in particular Brian Lewis, who's our Natural Areas Manager. And I know I'm not going to put him on the spot today, but he's actually retiring from Metro Parks after 27 years. And this is really a linchpin for him. He's trusted with his labor and all of his staff. So thank you, Brian, for all your hard work.
Hey, Brian.
Brian, please,
come on, Brian.
Please, yeah.
Well, we're really glad that we could come here today and honor what he's accomplished over the last 10 years out here. This is just one of the many projects that he's been involved with. So thank you, Brian. So I don't want to speak too long. I do want to mention Mayor Fisher and give him the opportunity to introduce others. So Mayor Fisher, please.
All right, thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. I want to recognize Keith Talley too. Also, Keith is here. He's our chief over community building. So he's got the parks and Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, resilience and community service. It goes on and on. So Keith, welcome. Thanks for coming out today. There you go. Our parks team, man, they work hard. You know, how many? We've got 125 metro parks. More than 100, he's saying. Okay. It's a lot to say grace over. And when you think about our park system in our city, you know, we got the Olmsted Parks is one group, then we got Waterfront Park, then we got Parklands at Floyd's Fork, and then we got Metro Parks as well. They are probably in terms of philanthropic support, the least funded of all of our parks, even though it's the most in numbers. So we got a tremendous staff and volunteers, thank you guys. So much of the community comes together to make our park system what it is. So this is an outstanding announcement we're having here today. I want to thank Wilderness Louisville for their support in the transformation of this Greenway. MSD and LG&E has played a big part of that. I just had a pleasure to meet, well, second time for one of them, the Bradley family. I want to thank you all for your support in the restoration of this newest natural area in our city. It was some 40 years ago when the family farm was retired in this space behind us here. So they said when there was a cow that got loose, people knew where it came from, and they'd be the first ones to get the call, and they'd have to go wrestle up their cow here in the Clifton neighborhood. So that time has passed, but thank you, and I know your parents would be really proud and happy to see what's taking place here today. So let's hear it for the Bradley family over here. Go ahead and kind of describe, it's been a long process to get this stuff done. Unfortunately, our city government doesn't have nearly as many funds as it should. From time to time, it's changed though now in the past 6 months with the Coronavirus Relief Act, the American Rescue Plan Fund, the infrastructure bill that was signed into by President Biden last Monday. So there's going to be more money flowing to the city here over the next 3, 4, 5 years, where you're going to see more capital projects taking place in Louisville than we've had in decades and decades. So that is a welcome thing to see. As much as that as we can put into our natural areas and into environmental projects that are sustainable, I mean, that's the way to go. Getting people outside is always a good day. It makes people feel natural because we are nature. Sometimes we think we're not, but being part of nature elevates all of us in any potential way we can do it. So a project like this that's kind of right in the middle, closer to our downtown, is really, really important for us, and this can only expand from here. I want to reiterate my thanks for the neighborhood volunteers. Clifton Heights, one of the great neighborhoods, some would say the greatest neighborhood in our city, so thank you all for doing that. Let's hear it for Clifton and Clifton Heights. We also really appreciate the Louisville Engaging Children Outdoors program, our ECHO program, who participated in this. So sometimes these big projects just come together with a lot of people working toward a common goal. And Bennett, the work that you do with ECHO and Wilderness Louisville, we really appreciate that as well. You all in this district have been really blessed by great council people. Tina Moore Pugh was your original council person, as you know, post-merger, and then she retired, and then you have another incredible council person in Bill Hollander. There's one, let's hear it for Bill. I can tell you there's not a harder working council person than Bill. We've known each other for quite some time, but he chairs the budget committee That's tough to keep 26 Metro Council people happy. And we've got now, with all these additional funds coming into place, it's like we've got 3 or 4 different budgets going on, and I'm grateful that Bill is leading that effort for us. So with that, I say thank you, and please welcome Councilman Bill Hollander.
I took a walk in the woods and came out taller than the trees. I'm reminded of those words of Henry David Thoreau as we dedicate this little urban oasis today. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Bennett Knox, Brian Lewis, and the rest of the Metro Parks team. The Clifton Heights Bradley Greenway has been a dream for people in the Clifton Heights neighborhood for years. I remember knocking on Kevin Down's door when I was campaigning in 2014, and he invited me into his house to show me the plans for this greenway. Kevin and so many others in the neighborhood not only dreamed about the greenway, but they put in the sweat and toil to make it happen, volunteering with Metro Parks to build the trail. The Bradley family was supportive of the effort. Private donors helped supplement funds, and I want to recognize Dan Jones, who's with us today. His father, David Jones Sr., was a donor to this project. Private donors helped supplement public funds that started when Tina Ward Pugh represented the district, and we were able to use District 9 funds to finish the work on this first phase. As I prepare for my last year in office, I'm reminded that public service is like a relay race, with projects started under one person and finished by another. I'm grateful to Tina, who we invited to this ceremony and who would have been here today, but she is out of town. I hope you enjoy the Clifton Heights Bradley Greenway and appreciate at least an occasional walk in the woods. As Thoreau also said, what is sour in the house is a bracing walk in the woods that makes sweet.
Well, we'd like to invite Dave Dislicell to come up, President of the Clifton Heights Community Council and longtime advocate for what we're here today to celebrate. Dave? Thank you.
Well, that was music to my ears to hear Bennett Knox, no less, say this is the end of phase 1. I can't tell you how overjoyed I am, and I know that our neighbors are, and many people from reaches out well beyond our neighborhoods have discovered this park and this greenway, and they will continue to discover it and use it, we hope. You know, I'm going to do a little twist on the recognizing people who helped here. If I could name this park myself, we did because the Bradley family were originally promised to be named in this park. We were able to accomplish that by working together, Metro Parks, Mr. Hollander, and so you guys, again, I want to tribute you. But if I were to name the park, I would call it the Clifton Heights Bradley, Kevin and Terry Downs, Tina Ward Pugh, David Jones, Bill Hollander, Metro Parks Lisa Height, Brian Lewis, and their volunteers. They brought in many, many volunteers from all over. I would continue naming it Mary Brady, Deb Osowski, Elizabeth, I got Manton, it's not quite Martin it is, I'm sorry. Dolores Collins, our former president, who was so influential here, and many, many, many more. I have just been fascinated with the magical nature of this place. My wife, Sue, and I walk trails and parks. We've been over much of the country. And when we come home, we have a beautiful place like this, and of course so many others. Metro area, southern Indiana, Oldham County, and beyond. We are just beyond lucky to be living in this part of the world. But the magical part of it is, for me, to, the concept of Japanese forest bathing, which is proven to be, along with the organisms, dead and alive, the molds, the fungi, to be so beneficial to us in healthy ways, not just emotional and psychological ways. I think we're going to learn a lot more about how beneficial all that is. So you might want to do some reading about that. It's a fascinating concept. Those woods make us healthier all the way around in so many different ways. And then I want to mention one other magical moment. You can find them here. You see an unusual bird. You hear something, an animal. You encounter an animal. You enjoy the woods, the sounds, the smells, and so on. And I'd like to close with one magical moment of mine. My dog and I, on leash, were coming up from Mellowwood about 8 years ago. You can walk down this way, the left trail here, and go all the way down to Mellwood following dirt trails, and you discover all kinds of things. Eventually, we hope, some way or another, we have at least a little mini trail through there. I was coming up the valley from down at that end, and I suddenly stopped, as did the dog, and we saw 10 or 12 feet in front of us a huge deer buck, multi-pointed, just standing there looking at us. The dog didn't bark, he didn't react at all. We just stood there in this amazing silence, you know, looking into each other's eyes. And there was something going on, and I suspected that buck was in trouble because he didn't move. Eventually, maybe a minute or two, we slowly backed up and left. I came down then the next day because I couldn't get it off my mind, and that buck had fallen dead in that very spot, and there he was by the side of the trail down below. So I challenge you to look for your magical moment. And there's plenty of them if you stay attuned with all of your senses. Thank you. I'd like to ask Kevin Downs, who he with his wife Jerry, we've always called the godfather of this place. Kevin, would you want to say a few words?
David.
Well, right about 20 years ago.
You okay?
Right about 20 years ago, when I bought my property back here, I used to go and look at maps all the time, and the old microfilm downtown the courthouse, and I got to looking at the prior easement that goes back about a third of a mile. And it was just sitting there, kind of like the land town forgot, what I used to call it. And to me, it was a no-brainer that we could do a greenway, just add maybe another quarter mile to get to River Road. And I started talking to anybody and everybody that would listen, and one thing led to another. I tried to get people in the room together, the powers that be, to talk about this. And one thing led to another. Too much to get into right now. Things evolved, and the brand new 4 acres became available, which I always called icing on the cake. And so now that's where we're at here right now with that. And it's really good, but I would like to urge all the powers to be here today to keep this original vision going. And let's go back here and keep it going to River Road and connect to the global loop. And there's a lot of people that I'd like to thank. It's too many to start naming. You know who you are, and for me to you, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Okay, well, I think those are all of our speakers. Thank you all very much for those wonderful sentiments. We're going to take a little hike, and I guess I'll kind of echo some of the things that Mayor Fisher and Councilman Hollander said, and we really hope that the community will use this. See a few kids out here today, and that's what we're all about, is getting kids out in nature. So I encourage you, if you've got kids, nieces, nephews, grandkids, bring them out here, let them play. No rules. I'm going to say there are some rules, but just explore nature. Encourage your kids to do that. Turn over that log, turn over the rock, find some things to explore. Develop that relationship with nature. Then obviously it's carried through to everyone here today. So that's what this property is about at this stage, and it's going to hopefully improve over time. We're going to do more here. We're going to continue to manage it and improve it for habitat, and maybe add some features. So let's stay in contact around that. I'd like to take a hike, so for those that are interested, we can just meet over here. It's a very short hike, and we'll just we'll hike on down. What do you want to do? Oh, the ribbon cutting, sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, thank you. So let's go over here. We're going to cut the ribbon with folks involved, and then go ahead. Brian Lewis, come on over here. Dave? Dave, please? Right here.
Whoop.
Oh, can we get you in there? It's visible?
No, I'm trying, taking video for the grandson.